Certified real.
Hey, I'm a little excited.
You heard it here first. Certified real. Airborne.
You are now listening to Real Talk Podcast.
This is certified.
Welcome back, Real Talk family. We're here today, as usual, with the usual suspects. We have Nisha, we already know, and then we have Terrell and myself, X. Today we got a real special guest on the show. As you can see, all of us are excited about this. We got a young actor stepping in to give us his insight, DeAngelo Davis. Would you like to give us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is DeAngelo Davis, and I'm an actor out here in Los Angeles. And I've been out here for, it'll be 2 years in August. So I'm pretty fresh out here, but I got a lot of knowledge to spread on the game. So can't wait to get started.
We appreciate that. On the show, we like to just dive straight in. That's, something that we do. We just go straight into it. So tell us a little bit about how you got into acting.
Okay, well, it all started, well, for me, it wasn't really like one of those start off young, grow up loving acting thing. My parents kind of put me in like modeling and stuff when I was a baby. And then kind of when I got to high school, I decided to try the whole acting thing. And I thought I was pretty good at it. So I decided to go to college for it. I went to the University of Kansas and got my degree in theater performance. And then right after I graduated, I shot on out here to come out and live the dream. So that's really how I got started.
Really quick side note, that's crazy that you said University of Kansas, because I was in the Army and I was literally stationed in Kansas. And,
wow.
So I was stationed at Fort Riley. It was like 10 minutes from Kansas State. And then we was like 45 minutes from University of Kansas. So that's just crazy how small the world is in a way. Yeah. That's interesting. So how was the program? Because I'm big on school. I know Terrell's big on school. I mean, I'm sure we all big on school. And on the show, we actually had a segment where we talked about film school versus no film school. So since you said that you went to school, what's your take on that? Do you believe that school helped you on that long run, or was it needed? How do you feel about that?
I don't know if I'd necessarily say that it's needed, but I would recommend going to school, because going to school, you get that structure, and you also kind of get a leg up being able to make connections and things like that. You get to figure out things about the game. You get to meet people, and that it just helps. You get an extra leg up, you know what I'm saying, on the competition when you do go out and decide to go to a bigger market.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I think about school. And also, try and go to a school, like when you're in film acting, like I recommend starting off with theater, because that's what I did. Because the University of Kansas doesn't have like a film acting program. So I did mostly theater, and I got my credits up and things like that through plays. And then I came out here to do the film acting. I mean, it's a different style of acting, but you'll get the hang of it.
That's dope that you say that, because some of the greatest actors we know started out in theater, like Wesley Snipes, Morgan Freeman, Samuel Jackson, just to name a few. So that's interesting that as a so what's y'all take on that? What do y'all think about the theater and then switching over to acting? I mean to on screen.
I took 2 acting classes in my undergrad, and both professors said, it's better if you go to theater first, because, well, from the perspective of what they were telling me was that when you're in theater, you're standing in front of a large audience and you're projecting your voice. It takes a lot more confidence to be on stage and to do that, and to do all those things required, being in theater. So when you downsize and you go to a film, you're talking at a regular volume. You're not really in front of that many people except the other cast and crew. So you already have this confidence. You just got to kind of tone it down, and you're taking multiple takes from multiple angles, and you're not doing a consistent show for however many minutes. So that's my take.
All right. So this is my last question, and then I'll let y'all go ahead. I don't want to take over. I get a little excited. Mm-hmm. So because I noticed that, like, I sat down, I watched one of your films, Alien Conquest on Amazon, which I to be honest, I was expecting something different, and it surprised me.
I get that.
how shockingly good it was. Just being honest, and the quality of lines that you did have, and as your character as a lieutenant, in that film was surprising, and it kind of did give me a feel that you did have some structure behind it, right? Like you had some formal training before going into that, because you did have lines that was like back to back, and then your delivery was there and stuff like that. So my question is kind of, because for those individuals that may not think they need school, and then like Terrell touched on how it was when you went onto a set, with cameras where the director was like, cut, let's do it again. How did that feel compared to when you're on theater? If you miss a line, hundreds or however many people see that you missed that. Like how did that feel?
To be honest, I feel like you get more leeway if you miss a line in theater to a certain extent, as in like the crowd doesn't know the script. They don't know what you're saying. So if you mess up a line, if you and your fellow actors have good enough connection, you guys can pick it back up. When it's on a film set, when you mess up that line, everyone knows, because everyone knows the script. They've all been developing that script for months, years, who knows how long. So when you mess up and then cut, everyone knows you got to stop. Everyone's running around, reset. It's just a whole lot of chaos. And it's almost kind of like embarrassing in a certain like sense, like, because it's like, dang, we just have to stop this whole production, do everything over because I messed up my line. Right. So it almost kind of gives you a sense of like, you almost want to be like I like it because it like forces you to be like good and really care about your craft and do the work, because you don't want to be the guy where it's like, oh dang, he doesn't know his lines, so we're not going to cast him. So yeah.
That's actually a perspective that I didn't think of for some reason. What about y'all? Did y'all have that perspective? I thought the pressure was a little bit more on for theater, because on a set you could do that. You could say, cut, all right, this is how I want you to deliver. Let's do it again,
I would say, because with theater, it comes more of a it's a bigger level. Like people are looking at you from like farther away. When you're on camera, like everything's just like, it's up close. Like you can get cut for even like if your look is wrong, like you put your eyes the wrong way. Like, and I've been doing theater for a while. You can kind of wander when you're doing theater, where like you're just saying your lines. Like you don't really know what you're saying, but you know what you're saying. Like you're just saying your lines. You're going through the motions, and like the crowd won't notice it, because as long as you yell at the time you're supposed to yell, they'll feel something. Right. But when it's like on film, it's so close that if you don't actually feel that yell, the audience can tell.
Okay.
And then when you're on stage, you got the spotlights and all that on you, so you can barely see the crowd, right? So it's
exactly
darkness, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, everybody's right there. They got lights, boom mics hanging over your head, right there.
Yeah, the camera doesn't lie; it captures everything.
Yeah,
I wanted to piggyback off.
Right.
I wanted to piggyback off what X was saying about your work, your performance in Alien Conquest. Phenomenal job. But I had a question about the audition process, because we learned this in school. An actor's performance is very important. How would you say the audition process is, in relative to an actor's performance? Because from what I hear, a lot of actors, they put a lot of emphasis on, performing right when it comes to, being on set and all that stuff, but they kind of disregard the audition process. So what's your take on that?
Mm-hmm. Well, to me, what the audition process is, it almost feels like you get more leeway in the audition process. And that's because you get to really show like your true authentic interpretation of the character, because you don't know yet. You haven't talked with the directors, the writers. Like you get to give a true authentic interpretation of it. And that's what I like about the audition process, because you get to really see your personality shine in the characters, and just you get to actually be yourself. As in, like when you actually get on there, it's more, more structured. But the audition process is extremely important. That's definitely a part you got to take seriously, because otherwise you don't get the role. Everything. It's not necessarily in a sense of like just get everything to a T. It's more of who has the most authentic performance at the time. That's usually who gets the role. It's not really the best performance. It's just the most authentic. Who's truest to themselves.
Exactly. And it's funny because myself and X, we took a fiction film directing class where our professor was talking about that, how you want during the audition process, you want to give the actor a couple of things to try out. It doesn't have to exactly be on the script, but it can just, be an improvisation based on, the environment or the world the character is in. And I don't know if you want to speak on that, X, but yeah, I think it's cool to see how much range an actor has as opposed to just handing them the line straight from the script.
Exactly.
I agree 100% with what Terrell's saying, but I love the fact that you're actively working in the field and it's directly connecting to what we are actually learning in grad school, right? So, that's always, I feel like that's always like a thing that like hovers over you. Like, are the professors, yes, we understand that they work in the field and they know what they're talking about, but what is the information they're giving us actually going to help us when we go in the positions that you're currently in right now, right? So it's great to hear that what you're saying is exactly what she told us would happen, right? Like, she's telling us what they did for you, and your audition is what we should do and how we get our actors for our films and stuff like that. And now you're sitting down with us telling us like, yeah, this is what I actually did. So I agree everything with Terrell saying. I do appreciate that we're now getting that, that backing that we need to know, like, all right, we're on the right path.
I'm glad that you all are like listening in class. Me, I didn't really listen as much in class. I wish I would have listened a little bit more because yeah, you're right. Like, the stuff does translate.
Yeah. As much as this school is, I need to listen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel that.
You got any questions for him, Nisha?
Yeah, I do. Hush, can I? Thank you. Anyways, okay, so I kind of want to go back to the audition part real quick. How do you prepare yourself for an audition?
Usually the way I prepare myself for the audition is I try to memorize the lines by not memorizing the lines. And let me explain that. What I do is, what I learned from one of my teachers is that if you read something 10 times, that you know it. Whether you think you don't or not, you know it after you read it 10 times. So what I do with my auditions is I usually read it 10 times, and then I try to, like, I know the scene, and then I just try to map out my emotions. I don't necessarily try to learn the lines. I just try to map out my emotions. Like, what am I supposed to feel at certain points in the script? And that's usually because that's how you stop yourself from coming across as, just standing there with a piece of paper reading. It's really more about your emotional connection to the material. So that's usually how I prepare for my auditions.
It's almost like,
what will the character feel at this point?
It's almost like when you read it over and over again, you kind of just embed it in your subconscious mind, and you just already you trust yourself that you know the lines, and that's a good perspective. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I also like that perspective because it's kind of telling us that the authentic and the emotions is a little bit more important than the lines.
Oh yeah, that
okay.
I think emotion is the most important part of like the acting. The lines are just like there to help guide your emotion, but the emotion is the most important part, because there are a lot of good actors who can like say the lines, but if you can't feel what they're saying, they're not going to get the job.
Okay, so to go off of that, do you ever find yourself having a difficult time connecting with the character that you're auditioning for?
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time. Because as you can see from my personality, I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. So usually when I get auditions for more darker roles, it gets a little hard, because I auditioned for Euphoria. I didn't get it, but like that was a harder like audition for me, because one of the characters that I was auditioning for was talking about like it was a suicide type thing. He was telling his friend that he was thinking about killing himself, and it was a little bit harder for me to dig deeper into those emotions. So, but yeah, just things like that. But I'm still taking classes, so like it's always a process. It's an ongoing process. You're never a completed work in acting,
Because that was definitely going to be my next question. Like, because I know I'm sure you want to get those kind of roles. Like, how are you preparing yourself or practicing to go, to dig into that bag and pull that out?
Mm-hmm. These, like, how do I get into it? Or?
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, but you answered it by saying, you're still actively, taking classes, preparing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And it also goes to like the point of like what you said earlier, when like just with like confidence, you have to be I think when it comes to like, especially dealing with deeper emotions, you have to have the confidence to know that you can take your acting there. but also be able to reel it back. So almost having the confidence in yourself to know that you can do like what you're putting your mind to without having to go off the deep end in a sense.
Right.
Do you have any specific people like actors that you follow that you watch their stuff and you're like, yo, I gotta like he or she is inspiring me to get better and better every day? Like who would you name off the top of your head?
Name off the top of my head, it'd probably have to be what's his name? Well, first of all, I think I love Michael B. Jordan. I really do. I really like him. I like his work. When I see like the type of roles and things that he gets, like I think like I'm like, I want to do roles like that. Like they're just like cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? I like any actors who are just like cool. Things like that.
We have a host on the show that's a Michael B. Jordan hater. So I'm like ecstatic that you said that it's Michael B. Jordan.
No, but I mean, I could probably see where he's coming from. I mean,
I don't see it at all.
The difference between his newer projects and like some of his older projects, I feel like there is a difference.
I mean, he went from acting as a kid and then now he's an adult. So I feel like that's a natural gap that's gonna be there. Like you go from doing younger kid type things, and now that you're an adult, I also feel like sometimes it's harder to see those actors. And I also think it's even better because we don't have a lot of actors that have the talent or the ability to go from child actor to an adult actor and still have that same success. So I think it's dope that he's able to do that. And I do agree with what you were saying, like how all his roles, even though they're different roles, he still seems like he belongs there. If that makes sense. So
as it goes back in what you're saying with the confidence, like you can tell he's confident in who he is. So
right.
I'm glad you brought up talent, X, because I have a question here for DeAngelo.
Yep.
What do you think is more important, talent or training? And this is like an ongoing thing with everything, whether it be sports, music, and for the conversation here, acting. Like what's more important, just having that natural ability to act or actually the work ethic and putting in the work?
I definitely have to say the training. Because if you're just like a good actor and you really don't prepare, like you'll get into the audition room, they'll like you, but you might not get a call back. Like they'll be like, oh, they were good, but they weren't ready. So they don't get a call back. Because that's usually how the audition process goes. It goes like audition, call back, screen test, then they call to see if you book it or not. So you're not gonna get as far with just talent if you don't have that like work ethic. So I definitely have to say, I'd say the work ethic.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people, they get the misconception, like they'll see these people on screen, like, Denzel Washington, whoever may be, Will Smith, and be like, oh, they have the natural talent, which they might have, but it's also backed by years and years and years of training. Like even today, I think we were talking about it on the other show, X. Will Smith is still taking acting classes now. So that's even at that level, you still learn and all that good stuff.
Right.
Yeah, because training is something you can see. Training, like just like the way you can see talent, you can also see training. Like you can tell who's went to theater school or who's went to acting school, who went to film school. Because it's like it shows in like the type of work that they like produce.
Right.
So it's like you can definitely see it, and like also that makes people trust you more when they know that you have that training.
Okay.
Like they're not. If you're just like coming off straight off talent, a casting director isn't going to want to trust you with a 90-page movie if they know that you might not be able to handle it because you haven't had that formal training. So that's why like training is like an important part of your resume. I've had casting directors call me back because of my training. Like training only, they haven't even seen me audition. They'll be like, oh, I see you went to this school, you studied with this person. So training is definitely important.
I'm happy that you said that, man. And I feel like that's like really important that a lot of people miss out, right? Like going back to the conversation that we had, film school, no film school, right? Like you said it yourself, you got a call back strictly off because you went to this school. That individual knows some people at their school, at that particular school, and know that if you went to that school, you're what they need at that moment, right? And then now it's like a foundation, like you were saying, that you could build off of, compared to somebody who's just trying to come in straight off the street. right? But I also like that we're not in a way you're not putting it in a way to like discourage your choice of how you want to attack, your dreams, your goals, right? But just to give insight on the fact that, this can just give you another level of success, of training, of expertise, of confidence, of everything that you're going to need anyway. Like let's go, you can go to school or you can go to this training, get that instead of, missing it while you're on set, which could be damaging your confidence,
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate you saying that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just going to class is also just like the networking opportunities. It's good. It's good.
Definitely. Like I met them two just based off school, and like just just being in school, and us being in the same atmosphere, environment at the same time, had us birth Real Talk Podcast out of that. So
it's like you don't have a choice but to network because again, like you even mentioned before, DeAngelo, you have that structure. That and within that structure, it's designed for you to network with other people. You're being put into groups. You're being told to do projects, and with doing projects, you have to exchange information. So automatically, you're networking, and of course, you can network outside of that. But when you're in those classes, that's all you do is network.
Yeah, that's also like a networking is a non-negotiable out in LA if you want to like actually get somewhere with acting. Like you have to network because it's not possible to get to where you're going by yourself. It really is. I thought when I first moved out here, I thought LA was like some type of secret society. Like I didn't know anything. Nobody told me anything. Like, oh, how do you get an agent? Everybody zip lips. Like I didn't know anything until I started going to classes and getting in touch with people who knew the industry and was able to like guide me and help me with things like that. But
I wanted to ask something about that because after I graduate film school, I may move to LA, I may not, but I am interested in seeing what it's like out there. So what is like a piece of advice for an actor, filmmaker, just anybody just looking to go to LA? Because again, you said it's like being in a secret society over there. Like I always hear negative things like, oh, you go over there, you're gonna be living in your car for 3 weeks or whatever it is. It'd be something ridiculous. And I'm like, yo, I can't go over there. Like what's up with that?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what I'd say is if you're coming out to LA, definitely have a plan.
Right.
Like don't just one day just up and let's go LA. That you do that, you'll be going back in a month. Right. Like that, so because it can get like that sometimes because like you said, this place LA is definitely expensive. It's definitely expensive to live out here. So just kind of know what you want to do. Know like maybe have a side job lined up, have some money saved up, and also have a car. That's one of the most important things to me is having a car because public transportation. I mean, it can get you to certain places, but it's pretty whack. It's definitely pretty whack. It can't, and plus it can't get you everywhere that you want to go. Like some auditions are far, some are close. You might have to film real far out. Like, and you don't always want to be having to ask people for rides or dumping money off for Uber and stuff like that. So I think a car is the most important investment. Like,
I find it interesting that the most important investment for an actor in LA right now is a car.
Definitely a car.
Yeah, so
that's
interesting.
A car and headshots.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So you talked a little bit about the challenges that you had to face breaking into the industry. What would you say are the hardest struggles that you've had to deal with as an up and coming Black actor?
Well, definitely one of the struggles that, especially being Black, it's just like getting typecast in a certain sense, where it's like you're the abusive father or you're the bully teenager, just things like that. It's just really trying to navigate with the stereotypes. So the way that I try to combat that is I try to put my own spin on it. I try to still throw little bits of me into these characters, you know what I'm saying? So that they're just not some evil interpretation of what people think a Black teenager, a Black mean teenager is supposed to be. I try to add nuance to things like that.
Okay. So I want to piggyback off of that, the typecasting thing. because a lot of times we see typecasting being, you know, a thug, the gangster, whatever. Like you said, the mean stepfather, bully, whatever the case may be. How, other than throwing in, like, once you realize that you're getting typecasted, like you're getting calls and it's the same character, how do you attack that part? Like, before you even go to the audition of this typecasted character, like, how do you attack it before then? Are you changing things in your resume? Are you changing your appearance? Are you changing how you speak on the phone? Like, what are you doing before you get into the audition room to help block that idea of typecasting?
Yeah. So probably this what you just said with the headshots, because your picture, that's the first thing they see. And as sad as it is, those stereotypes, they are there. So when they see you looking a certain type of way, they're gonna boom, typecast you, because they see so many actors, and to them, I guess it's easier to just, oh, he's that type, she's that type. So definitely changing up your headshots, maybe brighter backgrounds, more smiles, things like that. Mm-hmm. And also, it's a conversation that sometimes you need to have that with your agent. When if you're getting too many roles for a certain type, to be like, hey, I really don't like these type of roles. Can we not submit me to these types?
Okay.
But it's really just working with your team.
Okay.
Really to get the type of roles that you're trying to go for.
Right. So you say your team. So you have an agent. Like, what else you have around you that's helping you get those roles?
Yeah. Well, for me, is the most of the connections from going to classes, and by classes, like I go to a lot of different classes all throughout the city just to make connections and talk to people. So it's like the classes, I try to go to the cheaper ones, not the real expensive ones. You just go to different different classes and just get to talk, act with people, and sometimes they'll be like, oh, like, hey, here, come audition for this, or I know a friend who's worked there, come audition for this. And I've got an agent and I've got a manager who kind of help me. They kind of help me with branding and just like what I should put out, what I should put on social media, things like that.
Okay, that's dope.
And also with that, when you get an agent or a manager, you don't pay for an agent or manager. I know a lot of people who come out here and they be paying people for agents and managers. So like that's definitely a scam. Don't do that.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I assumed. I thought you paid the agent by the project.
Yeah. You
okay.
They get a commission. They get 10% of when you book, they get 10% of what you make.
Okay.
So that's all fine. But sometimes there'll be agencies where they'll be like, oh, pay to take classes here, and then you can join the agency.
Yeah.
That's a scam. Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that also.
There's a lot of scam.
How is that enforced? Like the 10%, is that like all on contract, or how does that work?
They usually give you a contract before you even sign with them, and you'll just be like, they'll be like, this is our baseline, this is what we take out of every project, and then you just, okay, that's cool, you just sign.
That's dope. So how did you find your agent?
Well, I found my agent by I was just looking online, like and also you gotta kind of know what you're looking for. Like I look for a SAG franchise agent, so that's like different. Those are like the higher tier, like those. That's how you know they're like legit agents, like a SAG franchise agent. So that's something that actors should look out for when they do sign with agencies, whether they're SAG franchise or not. So I was just looking up SAG franchise agents, and I was just emailing them all one by one on the list, my headshot and resume, and I was just waiting. Whoever responded first was who I was gonna go with, and a couple responded, and that's who I went with.
I even see, like, you saying that, it even seems like another struggle within itself, right? So like, not only do you have to present yourself, to a director or a casting director, etc. Now you got to present yourself just to an agent. So it's like another barrier in front of you to get to that. That's interesting too. I thought it was a little bit easier to, I guess, TV, hearing other people talk about it makes it kind of seem like you just walking down the street in an agency and be like, yo, you look great on screen. No. Here's my card.
That is
right. That's how I always thought it was.
That's back in the day. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
And those probably be the scam artists. The ones $50.
Right. You see somebody walk up to you on the street, here, I'm an agent. Nah, I'm good. Like, stay away. Right. Those be the ones you don't want.
Right,
So,
right.
so I know we talked a lot about the positives and what you like about acting. So I just want to see what are some of the negatives that you kind of don't like, or I wish this wasn't the way it is when it comes to acting.
One of the things that I definitely don't like is like an unprepared crew.
Okay.
In a sense to where the crew's like not working as efficiently as they could.
Okay.
Like, so there's so like little things like they'll send you your script late, or like what we're supposed to be working on the next day. You won't get that till 1 a.m. Like things like that. 'Cause that's happened to me a couple times where like I've gotten something and it's like, oh, we're shooting this tomorrow. And it's like 15 pages. And I'm like, oh, dang, I got 4 hours before I got to be on set. You know, just things like that. I wish those were.
Out of curiosity, is that coming from like a student film or like a legit?
Oh no, from both. From both. It happens all the time. But that's another thing about acting. You got to be able to be flexible and adaptable. You know, you can't just let it throw you off, because that happens all the time. Where like they'll be like, oh, we got to rewrite. Here it is. And then they give it to you, and you just gotta do it.
Right.
Wow.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Is it like a pet peeve? Like
Yeah, kind of. Especially when you prepare.
Yeah. Okay.
Or actually when you haven't prepared. That's the worst. But it's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go in and kill it. Then you get 4 pages of lines, and it's like, dang. Like I want to prepare. I want to look good on camera. Like I want to be out there like I know what I'm doing. I don't want to be out there stumbling on lines, slowing everything up. Yeah.
What else y'all got, guys?
Okay, so what advice would you give to other people who are trying to get into the acting industry?
Well, my advice is would probably be just to start somewhere. Like, just start somewhere, get as much content out there as possible, try to soak as much information as possible, and just go on and do it. A lot of people stop themselves because they don't think that is possible. So just go on out there and do it. That's my advice.
I like that.
That's solid advice.
Yeah,
just put yourself out there,
Right. Whether that be like YouTube, TikTok, like anything. Like just put yourself out there. Because a lot of people, if we've noticed, a lot of influencers are getting on to like big movies now.
Yeah.
Like influencers, rappers, artists, like they're all in movies now. I saw y'all did one on Fast 9 with Cardi B. Like Cardi B. Like King Batch back from like Vine and things like that. Like Melvin Gregg, like those people they're doing stuff. They started off from just putting out content. They didn't go the traditional come out, act, headshot way. Like they did it a different way. There's no one way to do the acting thing. Yeah.
Right. I definitely agree with that. And we are definitely seeing, I kind of feel like actors is something, rappers or something, or, music artists or something that we kind of do see often. But I had always chalked that up to like they're millionaires.
Yeah.
If they decided they want to be in a movie, they can just go ahead and be in a movie because they can afford to push themselves into that world, But like you said, the social media stars who are not necessarily millionaires, money wise, but they are millionaires sometimes when it comes to fan base.
Yeah.
Right? I was always told that getting an actor or getting a social media star that has 1 million views is going to be better for your film in the long run than not so, right? So putting King Batch in your student film might get, because he's going to promote it because he's in it, that might, boom, now your views is up. People that wouldn't have saw it is now seeing it, so it's interesting. That whole world of what they're doing with that is just real interesting for film itself.
Yeah.
I had one. I don't mean to backtrack, but I'm sure you go through a lot of auditions and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've been through a lot of them and didn't get calls back. What is it that keeps you going forward? Because, a lot of people will go to all these auditions and they might look at themselves and be like, yo, I'm not that good of an actor. I should just give up. What is it that prevents you from giving up?
That's a good question. The thing that really stops me from giving up is just keeping my eye on that prize, and the prize is just being the greatest actor that I know that I can be, and reaching it to a certain level that I want to go to. Like I just got to know where I want to go to. Like have a goal, have like a plan, like see where you want to like be. Like that's what I do. Like I see myself. I want to be in big movies. I want to be series regular, Netflix stuff. So I'm not stopping until I get to that. So that's just the way to look at it. And it can get kind of discouraging at times because out of all the auditions I do, you probably get called back for like 15% of them, maybe not even. Like you don't get called back that much. That's the thing, compared to how many auditions you actually get. And they don't even tell you if you get like cut or not. Like you'll audition for it and you'll just never hear back from them. Right. So yeah, that's why like whenever I get an audition, like or whenever you submit an audition, you just forget about it. That's my advice to actors. Do not think about auditions. Don't think, oh dang, I hope I got this. Oh, I wonder when they're gonna call back, because you'll go insane. Like you'll literally go insane thinking about things like that. You just gotta forget about it. And when you do get that call, whether you know the project or not, because I've gotten that before. When I've like auditioned for a project and I just forgot about it. And then they called me back to be like, hey, DeAngelo, do you remember this project you auditioned for? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm all ears. Like, that's just how it is. You got to forget about it or else you're going to drive yourself crazy waiting for that phone call. But yeah.
That's good advice right there too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can see people, eating themselves up about it, whether it's, script writing, directing, whatever the case, acting, whatever the case may be. And you're just, I really need this. I really want this. I can see that. So I do. Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Man, it'll drive you crazy. I used to do it the first month I was out here. I was thinking about every audition I did, and it started to affect my work because I'm like, oh dang, what if I book this film and it conflicts with the dates for this one, so I'm not going to go as hard on this audition. When in all actuality, I didn't get either of them, so I'm self-sabotaging myself. Mm-hmm. So, wow,
it's dope that you see that you're seeing it now, young. While you're in the midst of going up that ladder, you're seeing those little differences that you need to correct within yourself to be better. I think that's dope too. So I have one question. Here you go. How do you get into character, right? So you got the role, you're about to go shoot your first day, whatever the case may be. What do you do that morning or whatever leading up into you got to deliver your lines? How do you get into character? Do you ignore the outside, or I can't be on my phone or can't be on the internet? Like, what do you do to get into character?
Yeah. Well, when I get into character, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't get on on filming days. I don't get on my phone when I'm like practicing my character. I don't get on my phone. Like I cut off all outside distractions, and you just kind of sit there and like marinate on the character and the character's emotions. Going back to emotions, that's like. For me, that's the crux of acting and getting into character is knowing what your character feels at what time. And it's not necessarily like what I feel, because I might feel different about what this character should be feeling, but I can't care about that because it's all about what this character feels. And that helps you get into character when you actually know what the character feels at what time and you don't judge the character. Because that also stunts a lot of people from actually going deep into character because they judge the character. They're like, oh, this person's a bad person. I don't want to play a bad person. And you can't think about that because to them, they're not a bad person. So that character, they're the hero in their own story. Right. So that's what I do. You just got to know the emotions of your character and why they're feeling them.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. So you have these stories, these Black stories, regardless of who's directing it, who's creating it. And as an actor, how do you go about having to go into these like Black traumas or saying the N-word or having to live out or act out these stereotypes? Do you see that and be like, okay, I don't want to do this, or do you're at the stage where you have to do it because you need that footage or whatever the case may be? How do you attack that?
See, and that's kind of the hard thing about being Black in Hollywood, that like your big opportunity could come off of something like that, off of playing somebody out of a slave movie, out of playing a slave, things like that. That could be your way in, or you could be like, dang, this is demeaning. I don't want this portrayed on TV. So it's kind of a slippery slope. It all depends on your situation and if you can get with the writing and see if it comes from an authentic place. Because that's the main thing. I know it's kind of hard to get an authentic writing on Black trauma from someone who's not Black.
Right.
That's definitely a hard thing. But as long as you're able to sleep at night, that's if you can handle it, you can. Because I know a lot of actors who don't. Like when it's Black, they say they're not acting in any Black trauma stories. But that also, it limits what they can go for. So I guess it all really depends on what you're comfortable with.
Right. And I know like I always, like my parents, they always say in certain situations sometimes it's worth doing it, like you said, because that might be, you know, your way in the door, and then at the end of the day somebody's gonna do it. Right, like there's gonna be another Black actor that's gonna be able to sleep at night by doing that. So
and then
why,
like a lot of Black trauma movies have like some of the best acting. If you really like look at it, things like what 12 Years a Slave, I like things like that. Like that has some of the Harriet, Birth of a Nation, like most of those slave movies, but like they're really like touching and powerful stories, even though they're not necessarily told by like Black writers.
Right.
So,
and another question, just because you brought it up, is it even possible for you as an actor to go and see who's the writer, or are you saying you just do some research to see who that person is, or are you able to go sit down and have a conversation with that writer to find out if your character is actually authentic? Well,
in the audition process, all you can do is really just search them. Like usually you get who's the writer, who's the director, and you can search it. That's really about it. Well, once you get like cast, you can get a chance to talk with the people and see where they're coming from with certain things. But before that process, no, you just gotta go off your own judgment, really.
What's a dream project that you would want to be on? Like something. Yeah.
I've already got it. The dream project I know that right now. First of all, I'm a big gamer. I love video games. So one of my favorite video games is The Last of Us. Okay. And I know that right now they are producing an HBO Max series of The Last of Us. I have been trying my hardest to look for people who are in that project to try to network and get in that. That is like my dream project.
I didn't even know they were doing that. That's crazy.
I didn't know either. That's dope. So you like zombies?
Oh yeah. I love it all. I just love like the story and the connection, like the tribalism, like everything about it. Just like it's real cool. Like it was a really cool concept. I was on IMDb and I saw that they were producing a series, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta talk to my agent, see if I can get on this. Like, I at least want to be seen. At least want to get in the room. You know?
Yeah. That'd be dope. I hope we get that, son. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. Thank you.
So if you could do a movie with any actor or actress, who would you want to start with?
Ooh, Will Smith, by far. Will Smith is my
choice.
He's my best friend, man.
Favorite actor. Yeah. He's the reason I really wanted to start acting. Like, because I used to watch Fresh Prince a lot when I was little. It started off basic. I was like, he's funny in black. I think I'm funny in black. Like, I can do that. And then like it just kind of like grew into like actually like loving performing. And yeah, no, I've loved everything he's done. Like, he's so real and authentic with his characters. And that's something that I really admire, because I know that he puts in the work. He's not just like, because a lot of people, once they get a couple movies, they start to relax. They're like, oh, okay, right. I don't have to put in as much work because I'm already established. Like, he gives 100% like every time. That's what I like. Him and Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is actually really good.
Oh yeah.
Those are the two.
That's dope. Do we have any more questions?
I don't.
I was gonna ask. I'm gonna cut you off. One more question. Do you see yourself leaning towards a certain genre of like projects, or are you open to like just doing whatever you can?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely open to do whatever I can. Definitely. I think the most I've done a lot of thrillers. I've done like 3 thriller projects. So I'm like thriller horror has been like more what I'm getting cast for, but like I'll do anything. Like as long as I'm acting. That's all I want to do, you know. I just want to get out there, you know, add stuff to the reel.
Respect.
So I kind of wanted to switch gears a little bit. I know you said at the beginning that you had a lot of knowledge and information that you wanted to get out. I want to make sure that we get all of that out. So do you have anything else that you wanted to share with the viewers, insights on acting, the community, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, the thing is for me is just before you start submitting to agents and stuff, know what you're doing and know what you need. So you got to have a resume, you got to have headshots, and you got to have some type of acting reel before you start submitting to agents, because especially the bigger ones, because otherwise they're just gonna look at your email and just toss it out, because they don't because that's the thing, having an agent, their job is to like market you. Like they're supposed to market you, and if you don't have materials, there's nothing to market.
Right.
So kind of what I've been doing is you got to work on things like, especially if you're coming out fresh like me, I didn't have any material, anything. So you got to start self-submitting or creating your own content. Like I would self-submit on the casting websites like LA Casting, Actors Access, and I started to book some roles, student films, or like little short films, enter in film festivals, and then you could build that reel. And once I was able to build that reel, I was able to pitch that to an agent, and then they were able to get me. Because when I was submitting at first, I wasn't getting any callbacks. Nobody was answering my emails because I didn't have the materials that I need. So make sure you have all your materials. And also just because a name is big, don't necessarily go just blowing money. Because that's the thing. You can blow. It is so easy to blow money here. Like I had to learn how to cook because I was blowing money so quickly. Like I would go, if you eat fast food twice a day, that's like $20 already gone. And if you do that 5 days a week, money's always leaving. So I had to learn how to cook to try to save me some money. Like, so you just gotta learn how to budget and maneuver. Like really like research the people that you're going to see. Because a lot of times they'll be like, oh, this person's big. And then like once you do your research, they're like, oh, they're not really that big. Like really just do your research on who you're going to see. And if it's too much money, don't do it. Like it's not life or death. Like no matter what, the people say, a lot of times it'll be like, oh, you need to get this to get here. You really don't. There's no one way. Yeah. There's no one way.
I like that. I like that idea. I like that there's multiple ways to get into film, right? Like I like that you can go to school. You don't have to go to school. Your best friend can be a filmmaker, and you just fall in love with the process or whatever the case may be. I enjoy all of that. I'm just more so about resourcing and getting yourself in putting yourself in the best position that you can put yourself in, especially for Black creators and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have like any questions for us that we haven't answered, anything like that?
So I mean, you all are in grad school right now, right?
Me and Terrell is in grad school, and I'm trying to get Nisha to go to Emerson also. She does journalism.
Oh, okay. So what are the plans after that? Like,
I want to direct horror films. So hopefully after school, hopefully my thesis can get me into that realm that I need to be in once I start submitting it. And then I was thinking about going to California. But I haven't decided if I want to actually live out there. But more than likely, that would probably be the way for me. Yeah.
And also, just to go off of that, this is good that in kind of the age that we're living in now with like COVID and everything, that you don't necessarily have to live in LA to audition in LA anymore. So like I know people who don't live in LA who have been submitting to agents in LAs and actually getting signed and stuff, because you could still submit auditions through like, FaceTime or Zoom, or you could just send in self-tapes.
Right.
So, wow.
What about you, Terrell?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I definitely want to be a director. I want to direct like thriller, suspense, action type of films.
Nice.
And I'm actually going to LA for a week at the end of this month just to kind of see things and how things are. Well, I'm going with a bunch of cousins, but I'm using it to my advantage just to kind of walk around and kind of see what the scene is like.
Got to.
And I will, and if it's right and I think it's cool, I would love to move to LA. That's why I was asking you the question before. I'm like, okay, is it really gonna be like ramen noodles and cereal every night, or is there a way around?
There will be some nights where it will get like that, but not every.
Okay.
Not every.
I mean, I'm ready for it. Like I'm cool. Like I can get. Right. You know what I'm saying? But
I feel you.
What about you, Nisha? What you trying to do?
I'm going back to school eventually, but then after that, who knows? I'm open to anything. So I'm still trying to figure out if I want to do broadcast, newspaper, whatever. So I'm still young. I got time to figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Just come to Emerson. Just come to Emerson.
Oh yeah, y'all got
Do you
time.
guys know how expensive Emerson is? First of all, the cost of living is ridiculous. On top of tuition,
How you
y'all
saying
act like I'm Obama's daughter or something. Like, relax.
But how you saying we don't know when we're doing it? Like we're literally doing it right now.
Okay, first of all, X, you were just talking about living out of a storage unit. I'm not trying to live out of a storage unit.
Hear me out, son. The storage unit is a dope idea because you just pay.
No, it's not.
You get a large storage unit. I've seen people do it on TikTok and all kinds of places. They get a large storage unit, pay like $200 a month. They buy like a little generator, and they got everything that they need right there. Like I even seen one person had a whole like shower in it, like portable showers and stuff like that. It's temporary, it won't be forever.
That's fine. All you gotta do is
That's a terrible idea.
Get your air fryer,
Yeah,
right.
But imagine how much money that you could save and be using for like fast food if you don't gotta pay $2,000-$3,000 in rent, man.
Yeah.
I think you should think about it. I think it's a quality
I
idea.
think I should not think about it. I like to have a plan before I just up and move somewhere. I'm not finna just go out there and be like, oh, let me figure out what I'm gonna do now.
No, your plan could be to go to the storage unit.
No,
imagine
that's a bad idea.
So imagine you can get a storage unit in the heart of LA and pay, $200-$300 for the unit and you Gucci like.
Oh, that's another thing. You don't necessarily have to stay in LA. Like a lot of people want to be like, stay like right in Hollywood, but you don't even really audition in Hollywood. Like that's the thing. I thought that at first. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be like right there by all the stars, the Walk of Fame. Like I'm gonna be auditioning over there. You really don't audition over there at all. Like it's mostly little suburbs and casting offices that you audition in. You never audition like right in Hollywood. That's another thing. Just in case people want to save some money, because the further in you get to Hollywood, the more expensive it gets. Right. So if you can find yourself in a little suburb, not too far from the city, that's perfect. But you gotta have a car.
Definitely.
That's how it is in Boston. The closer you live to downtown Boston, the more expensive it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But the space gets smaller though. That's the thing. It's not like the spaces get bigger. It would be like smaller space. The closer you move into the city, more expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Don't make no sense at all.
That's big city life. No matter where you go, what you do.
Mm-hmm.
These little closets for $3,000 just because you're there or you're here or there's a bus that stops outside your house or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, so man, I appreciate you joining us. What we probably do is just throw this together, piece it together, and then release it. We usually release Sunday at 12 p.m. Terrell is the editor. I don't know. Do you want us to send it to you first before we release it, or how do you feel about that?
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, I didn't say nothing crazy. So y'all do whatever y'all feel.
So usually we just cut it up. We take the week, cut it up, and then we drop it on our YouTube, and then we'll probably drop this on our Apple Podcast and Spotify also probably, and then we just shoot it out there. So let's close it up, and then we should be good after that. Sounds good.
Can you also just send a picture of yourself to our social media so I can put it on something so we can advertise on social media? If you can, please.
Yeah, I'll DM y'all the picture.
All right, so we appreciate you joining us. Telling us your story, telling us some insight on acting actively in the community. It was a dope conversation, as you can see. Appreciate the Real Talk family for joining us for this one. Do you have any last word for the viewers?
Last words is just get out there and do it, y'all. It's possible. It's definitely possible. Don't ever think that your dreams are impossible. It's always possible.
Facts.
Where can we follow you at social media?
All I have is an Instagram, so follow me at DeAngelo Davis 23.
Dope. And that's the show. Appreciate everybody viewing. Appreciate you joining us, and we're out.
Certified real.
Hey, I'm a little excited.
You heard it here first. Certified real. Everybody.
You are now listening to Real Talk Podcast.
This is certified